Hey guys, anybody who's tuned in, thanks for tuning in. So today, what we're doing is we're going to go over the process of applying our stucco system to ICF block. We've been provided a sample wall here from Nudura. So we're using the Nudura block. I want to show you guys the first steps in this process. So what Clive's doing behind me is he's putting on this cementitious layer. Following the cementitious layer, you see this textile gets embedded. That reinforces everything. Following that, you have a top layer of cementitious. Okay, there's a couple more people joining us, so I apologize at the start of this conversation. It's a little repetitious. Okay, so again, hey Clive, why don't you give everybody a wave here? Clive's our installer today. So Clive's putting the material on this block wall right now. We're actually going around two flashings. We're going around a reverse drip edge at the bottom there, and then a fire stop flashing as well to showcase how we embed those flashings. So again, cementitious, textile, cementitious. What we're trying to do, guys, if you think of a cast on your arm, if we simply put plaster on your arm, that plaster would crumble and fall off. The textile, the fiberglass textile, adds that rigidity and support and structure to create a cast. We call it our armored system. It's called composite waterproofing. Okay, you're blending a coating, you're blending a geotextile, and you have a coating on top. So this cementitious coating is rather unique. Okay, over here we've got type A Portland cement. Okay, it's just your standard gray Portland cement. Got a little mixing pail in here. And this is a cementitious coating. You guys can kind of see that it's a little bit of a thicker paste, okay? It's not like a paint. That's because it's reinforced with fiberglass fibers. Okay, this is waterproof. And when you mix it 1-to-1 by volume, so 1 container of this to 1 container of Portland type A cement, you're going to get a trial grade cementitious coating that he's putting on there behind us. Okay, so again, 1-to-1. A lot of these products are made with really weird ratios. Like it'll be X amount of pounds or kilograms for cement to X amount of liters or gallons for liquid. It gets confusing for installers on site. You know, you got those new guys that never worked construction and now they're having to think about math and conversion. This is easy. 1-to-1 volume. Okay, it whips up really nice. I'm gonna steal this really quick and just show you guys the inside of this container. Okay, that's the whip. Easy to move. Now we've used normal Portland cement on this, which is a gray cement. Okay, so that's a gray base. You can get white Portland cement if you want to tint this product. So if you want to add color and just have this cementitious as say a block wall, a wall in a parkade with a little bit of color, a wall in an elevator shaft or common room or stairwell. And what you're looking to do is eliminate the profile of the block. So you can see on this block here, you can see there's this profile here. Okay, it kind of shows through a little bit the strapping on the first layer. That's just how it dries. But what this is it's high build. So by the time you get to this final layer, it looks like a solid concrete wall. Okay, and that's what we want. This product is also non-combustible. Okay, it's extremely strong. It's a lot higher strength grade. It's about 3 times what you find in an EFIS system. I want to show you guys the fabric as well. The fabric that's getting embedded a lot of people, when they think of this stuff, they think of like loose fiber matting. Okay. This is more like a blanket. It's got a good weight to it. It's easy to bend around corners. It doesn't flap around in the wind. And it does not produce those little fiberglass slivers that you get to take home with you. You really notice when you jump in the bath or the shower. So that's a huge plus to this textile. And we had that custom made for Hulk. Generally, the matting, the fiberglass tapes that you've seen, or the big matting rolls, they come in 215-pound rolls, which are these enormous rolls. So Hulk had this custom fabric made in a 60-pound roll to match what the guys are used to carrying around on their shoulders for peel and stick or tie back or home wrap. Okay, so we wanted to match what they're used to using and what they're used to handling. That was very important. We also just wanted to make it superior to what was also available on the market. Hence this textile. Another cool thing about the textile is it's got a cross weave to it. So you've got your diagonal weaves and your horizontal weaves. It's got a cross weave so that it doesn't wrinkle or pinch and cause stretching of the material when it's applied. So a lot of times when you're unrolling something and it'll widen or you'll get wrinkles and you'll never be able to get it quite flat. This does not do that. So that was probably tweak 30 that we made to this material. We tweaked it a lot, but I wanted to get this perfect for you guys. Former installer myself. Maybe I should very lately introduce myself. I'm Brandon Carble, CEO at Hulk Systems. I just assume that a lot of people know who I am when I jump into these things. And what we're doing today is we're demonstrating the stucco system, the textured system on an ICF wall. Okay, so what I want to do actually, guys, I want to bring you guys a little bit closer up to the wall so that you guys can see the flashings that we've got going. Apologize, the lights are giving us some real nasty shadows. So down here you can see Claw's gone over the top of this reverse strip edge. Okay, so if this is a normal stucco application, we're trying to do this ultra fast because we've got 2 walls to do during this demonstration. We have this wall, so you guys can see the cementitious go on the block as it's going on right now. The fiberglass textile get inlaid into it. And then the texture, we have a drywall over here where we're going to showcase how the texture goes on through a hopper. Okay. Over here we have a fire stop. So these are used a lot. It's the only flashing we've really had available at the time, but they're used for brakes sometimes in stucco. Also, we see T-flashings quite a bit that are embedded in the foam. Sometimes you need a break in a big wall of stucco. You rarely see it where it's just one giant wall of textured stucco. What that does is it takes that centrifugal force off of a smaller area or off of a large area and disperses it into smaller areas. So that weight of the material, and then if there's any shifting or movement in the building, that is isolated to a very small section. So if you get a crack, it's not going across your whole wall. It's going to stop at these bricks. Okay. Are you ready to put the textile on, Clive? Let's move this back here because it seems like there's a shadow. There we go. Perfect. Maybe tilt up a little bit more with the camera there, Nikki. Okay. So I'm going to help Clive here really quick because this is a little bit of a tall wall and both of us are slightly height challenged. So the textile, what we're going to do is run it against the flashing on the one side. It's top side. I'm just going to run it wide on this side. Then we gotta just be above that flash. There we go, drop a little bit. So the easiest way, guys, to work with the textile is with two people, yeah, but if you have to do it on your own, come down a little bit. Oh, over a little bit. Any extra too can always be cut with a knife later, guys. Yeah. Oh, perfect. So you come down the middle and then you work your way out. Work your way out. That's the easiest way to avoid getting those very full. I'm doing it here with my hand on this side. I find it quick, easy. Notice we went right over the window. 5 using a big trowel. I mean, it's all a matter of pressure. With the waterproofing, the liquid waterproofing, a lot of people just use their hands. And it's an acrylic product, so all this stuff washes off really easy. Okay, so you're gonna see now we've got this. You want to impress it on the edges, make sure your edges are down really good. And that is covering the face of this flashing here. It's covering the top of the base flashing. So now those flashings are embedded into our system. Zoom effects brought to you by our CFO, Nikki Hawks. I'll show you really quick. Supply's going to get started on the second coat over top of that fiberglass. But here we have a wall. Okay, so this is also a foam wall supplied by QB Solutions. So it's an ice foam wall. Maybe could you lift it up a little? There we go. So here we did our waterproofing with the textile embedded. Okay, we did it in green. This is a perfectly acceptable method too, because a lot of people waterproof their foundation, then they put the cementitious on the belly band. There we go. They put the cementitious coat on the belly band area to lift the margin. But I'm gonna grab a hammer. Nick, if you hold that as well. This is just straight foam, guys. But you're not going through that. And if you think about backfill, this cast can take a lot more than just a coating cut. There's no weed whacker that's going to be knocking this off. Okay, this is not like your regular parging mortar. You're not knocking this off. That stucco, there's barely a dent on it. Okay, actually, let's zoom in and see if we can get it to focus. Okay, this is where I was hitting right here. There's nothing. We got a little dirt here. And I'm whacking that with a hammer pretty good, guys. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about with EFIS, and we can move the camera back now. So that's your 3 layers. This is your stucco final. That's the coating the glass putting on. Here's your waterproofing. Okay, so that system is kind of, if you're looking at it the other way, think underground, parging, stucco, your above grade wall. Woodpeckers. Sounds weird, but woodpeckers are a huge problem for EFIS, as well as hail. Hail puts all kinds of holes in EFIS. Woodpeckers are horrible for EFIS. Anywhere that has them knows this, and there's so many products to do the repairs. There's so many buildings where the EFIS is getting pulled off and it's getting replaced. This fiberglass mesh actually distorts the acoustics when the woodpecker is pecking at the wall. Okay, and there's also not a hollow cavity that we've created. We've created this hollow cavity where they can hear an echo. So this distorts the acoustics, and when they're hitting this, it's like hitting a solid piece of wood. There's no interest in it. It's not like hitting metal. It's not like sensing any kind of air gap or cavity. So as a deterrent, it's an amazing system to deter those pests. Speaking of pests, termites and rodents do not like to chew through fiberglass. Fiberglass insulation, they can burrow through. A termite will burrow through, but because of the tight weave on this, they don't want to go through it. They don't want to, they would have to chew it and they won't go through it. Every one of these products too, when we're talking about this top layer, it's got a sand in it, which has a huge heat resistance. This layer here is type A coating, fire class A coating, meaning the smoke produced, it's not that black smoke. So smoke density is below 10. And you need to be below 25. It goes all the way up to 100, below 25 to be considered class A. Also the flame spread. If I have a spark, it lands anywhere on this coating, it doesn't spread, it doesn't self-ignite. Okay, below 5 on that. So in both classes, this is a type A fire coating with a fiberglass inlay. Fiberglass is used to line ovens. Ovens obviously can go up to 600 degrees Celsius. That is the temperature resistance of this. So here you're adding fireproof. This is non-combustible. This is a non-combustible cementitious coating. You're adding that on top. This is the type A coating with sand added in. You're adding that on top. Every layer is not only designed for waterproofing, it's designed for fire resistance and fire stopping. Okay, so we are trying to prevent the spread of fire and flame on these foam structures and on big commercial buildings, especially multi-family buildings. You know, fire is a huge threat. ICF, I don't know why ICF gets such a hard time. There's a concrete wall in the middle of the foam where EFIS is literally a piece of wood with the foam stuck to it, and EFIS passes somehow. I think, you know, ICF has it's disrupting the industry in that it's threatening all the technical schools that are associated with framing and carpentry, the natural resource of wood. You know, there's a whole culture built around the timber and lumber industry that extends far beyond just the products themselves. So there's very close ties there to the government, the regulations. So it's no wonder they are making it really hard for market penetration for ICF. But you know what? ICF keeps trying, and it's becoming way more and more and more prevalent as time goes on. Okay. One thing I want to talk about too, while we're on it, I want to talk about this sample. So here's what Clive just did. Here's the raw block. You guys can see the raw block. You can see how once this is on, it eliminates the profile of the block. Here's the textile that we just embedded. Here's the second coat that he's doing right now. Think about this as a pool, guys, okay? So here's your inside of your ICF block. And this is a marine epoxy. So this marine epoxy, our standard is marine blue. It can come in any color that you guys wish or your clients wish. But at the end of the day, this is our most popular one. It's what's stocked. That is your liner for your pool system. Okay, and it's very simple. One problem that we've seen occurring over and over and over again with the ICF pools is the multi-use of different cementitious or plaster-based products. So we will see a company spec a product like this and then have a plaster for molding out corners and seams. What happens is this has a different compressive strength and resistance than the plaster does. Okay, so the plaster is more rigid, it doesn't want to move. That has a little bit of flexibility and give. Okay, and what happens? The products separate, get cracks down the sides. So in any time that somebody's trying to do a corner, per se, in a pool, and they're trying to build this out and round it, they're using the plaster. What a lot of builders have found who are doing these pools is if they get a bullnose cut by the foam company, by the block manufacturer, so a quarter round cut for the corner, and they just use the cementitious product throughout, they're not having those product failures, they're not having those cracks in the systems. And that's been feedback that we've gotten from now a multitude of builders who have come to us experiencing the exact same problem. It's just shifting and is putting too many materials together. Speaking of which, we've designed this, all of our products, our product line at Hulk Systems. We design it for protection, but we also design it for ease of use. Being, we want the same non-combustible cementitious high build product to be what you use in your pool, what you use in the common room that needs a non-combustible wall, what you use on your stucco application, okay? So Clive's working his way down the wall right now. Sorry about the glare, guys. I keep catching this window that's right behind me. He's working his way down the wall. And what I'll probably do is in a short time, he doesn't have too much material left, we'll move on to the other wall and you guys will see how the texture is sprayed on. With this window, he's simply going to cut this fabric out once it is once that second coat's on. I think what we're doing is we're trying to do this super speedy, probably easier to cut the window out in between coats while it's still just the fabric. This will work as well. It's just we'll do it off camera. We just didn't want to waste any of your guys' time watching us fool around. Back to the point that I was making. We like to design one product to be used in multiple systems, okay? The waterproofing is also the top coat here. That's just simply mixed with a washed play set, okay? You guys will see a lot of products that have silica aggregate, way more expensive. That should only be used on floors when you're talking about something that needs to get polished or run over by a forklift, okay? What the silica does is it grinds down the piston components in the larger machine hoppers. So you don't want to use silica sets. So what we use is literally we use washed play sand. Okay, fine or regular grade. Anything chunkier than that, it's going to have large granules or pebbles in it. You don't want those running through your hopper. You don't want them shooting at the wall. Now, what this material looks like when it's blended, we will do our coating. We've got our coating here in gray. You guys can see it here. We'll just kind of tilt this down a little bit. You guys can see it, but you can see that there's some texture in there. Okay, so what that is the ratio we've got in there is about 50% volume sand to 100% coating. So 2 to 1. That can be played with. You've got a couple items that can be played with to get different textures. You want to pass me that hopper there? Thank you. So adding a different amount of sand will produce a different type texture. Here we have, actually, could you zoom up on this one? On here, we've got a really fine texture. Now, the troweling was done to make it look like more of an industrial stucco job, but the texture is really fun. What we've done on this wall in the background, we've done it smooth, and we'll do the fine texture. Add more sand and have a bigger tip or decrease the pressure, you're going to get more of a splatter. That splatter effect looks like that chunkier stucco. So the really, I want to say 1950s, 60s style, thicker splatter stuff. This is more looking like the more modern acrylic stucco. And that's all that is. It's just a difference between pressure, spray tips, and the amount of aggregate that you're using in your mix. How's that going, Clive? We're pretty much there. Right on. Clive's a perfectionist. He likes all of our samples to be able to be used as showpieces afterwards. So I know it's gonna drive him nuts, and we're gonna have to move the sample off and move the next one. But I can guarantee you guys, Clive will have that thing with mint in no time. Actually, let's zoom up and look at what Clive's doing here. So he's troweling it quite a bit smoother here at the bottom. You can see that. He's going over and cross troweling it. Normally, the guys that work with these products, they got their big fan trowels, sometimes 4-foot wide fans. And it makes the job a heck of a lot easier, obviously. And a lot faster, yeah. And those are the brick and mortar boys and stucco installers that'll be using this system. They're equipped and tooled up with all the right gear. Back here, we're just generally making samples that are about yay big. So we don't generally typically need the we don't typically need the big giant fan trellis. So we've got, we're gonna move it over. With part 2 in. Yeah. Let's come in and take a look at this wall, guys. Well, Clive gets his hopper ready. So this is essentially just what Clive did. You've got your fiberglass embedded in there. You've got a solid wall, okay? The thickness that we're going to be spraying this on is about 20 mils. We usually do 2 passes to get the good color coverage with the hopper. It's going to just spray directly on this. Think of this as like your brown coat or scratch. Your scratch coat would be the first one, then your textile, and then your brown coat. In a normal stucco system, you'd have your scratch coat, the wire mesh, like the chicken wire, and then your brown coat. Scratch coat is usually done vertically with the tooth trowel, and so that you can get that that metal on there. And then you've got a smoother coat, which they call a brown coat. And then they put their stucco, which is a mix normally, over top of this. Well, ours isn't a mix. Ours is our waterproofing and our sand, and it's sprayed on. So applying stucco is now 10 times faster, at least. You guys are just going to see how easy this is. One thing I want to show you guys is Clive's setup. So you can keep the camera on the wall there, Nikki. Clive's going to be using just a compressor. Easy to move on site. Okay, this feeds the air through a hose into the hopper. These hoppers are used commonly for doing stipple and whatever other applications. You can get different hoppers, guys. You can rent them from Home Depot. Sorry about, there's a little bit of background noise going on. You can get them from Home Depot. And there's going to be a plaster hopper, which shoots things like drywall. Do not use the plaster hopper for this. You need to use a mortar hopper or cement hopper. Reason being, the plaster ones aren't meant for aggregates to pass through. So you will grind down that Home Depot machine very fast. Grind down the driving piston in it. They look almost identical. But don't rent the plaster popper. We found that out about, I think it took like 3 of them to get destroyed before we even understood that there was a difference between them. Because Home Depot was not letting us know, and again, Graco makes the darn things look exactly the same. But they can be rented. Okay, so I'm gonna move this off. Little bit of pause in the process right now. Do you think there's enough air in there, Clive? Okay, so we should be able to shoot a little bit. What's gonna happen, guys, is it's gonna get kind of loud. I hope the AirPods retain the sound of my voice. I'll try and talk over it. What I'll get you to do, Clive, is shoot a bit in a circular motion for about 30 seconds. Then we'll bring the camera up on it to take a look at it. And we'll let you finish. And what we're going to do is we're going to move the camera over here so that we can continue to talk to you guys and finish up the video. But I do want you to see the final product. I just don't want you to hear all the background. So Clive right now, he's hooking up the hose to the hopper. Okay, there you go. Hopper, hose. Oh. Hopper, rejected hose. The hopper has a valve here at the back that you need, that when you open it up, that's where the air pressure comes from. There's a small leak in this hose. That's what you're hearing right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this material in this hopper for Mr. Clive. A little more. That's good. Okay, you don't ever want to fill those things too crazy full. They're easy enough to refill. They're not so easy to hold over your head. I'll get you more. Yeah, you want me to pull that? Ready? There's 5. Let's see it. All right. So guys, if we can get out of the way, maybe go over here a little bit. There we go. So if you guys can see this finish, see how it's really splattering? So that's from going over the same spot a little too much at one time. These are quick coats. So, and in a circular motion. Okay, so what it's going to look like is okay. We have 4x8 sectional wall with its textured stucco coat on there. That's how quick and easy this is. It's way better to come back and shoot a second coat than it is to try and get that really good coverage. Because what you're going to get is something called sag. Sag is where you get it too high build, the sand weighs down on the droplets of the coating, starts to pull the material down the wall. So we can kind of see the difference here. Let's see if we can get the focus to pick this up. You guys see how fine this is up here? And you're getting a lot finer of a finish. I don't know if that's showing up. maybe from a little bit of an angle here. There we go. Okay, so a lot finer of a finish, but if we drop down here, you can see it's a lot more splattery. Okay. It's just all that is. It just takes some getting used to. Okay. It's learning how much material to put on the wall. What I always recommend, start underground. Okay. If you've got an underground wall, start there until you figure out that rhythm, how far you want to be. You guys would see that I'm about 2 feet away from the wall. Sometimes go about 3 if you want a little bit of a different effect. But 2.5 feet, let's call it that. 2.5 feet away from the wall in a circular motion. If you can go face on, you're always going to have a uniform pattern. The second you start to tilt, you're getting a different spray radius. Okay? So I'm shooting material up, I'm not shooting it straight in front of it. Apologies, guys, we got dogs in the warehouse here and they're singing right now. They're not happy that we're spending all this time with you and they are locked in the one office. But they are also notorious for walking through the coatings, getting epoxy and bringing it home to us onto our carpets. So they need to stay upstairs. Guys, I hope this has made sense to everybody. I hope you guys have gotten a lot out of this video and a better understanding of how these products work and how quick this works, okay? This system, that's day one. That's ready for this the next day, okay? You don't need a lot of cure time. This is only going on at 20 mils. So that's still going to be able to off gas. Even if there's a little moisture in there, it's still going to be able to off gas through the curing process, okay, over time. The dog is driving me nuts. Okay, so, and when you're talking about these flashings, maybe let's bring the camera back over here. That's the right. We really did a rush job here, guys. So what'll happen is this will get cut, but you'll want to go right up to the flashing. But this is providing a stop. Okay, I've now destroyed 2 pairs of shoes in this process because I've managed to get all the coatings on them. So always wear your work gear when doing work. Unlike me, who's just still convinced I can go into the warehouse and do these things without getting dirty. So you're always wanting to bury that one side of the flashing. We do have a speed primer. So that one side of the flashing that was here, we hit that with a palm sander real quick. Okay, and then we have a speed primer that acts as an adhesive. It's so that the movement of this flashing does never showcase through the cementitious. What stops that from happening, that cracking, is actually the fiberglass. The fiberglass adds structure and prevents movement and keeps a nice, uniform, stable wall over top of your ICF. Guys, I want to thank you very much for attending. I know we're cutting it about 5 minutes short today. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to email us at info@hulksystem.com. You can email me direct at brandon@hulksystem.com. You can call our office. You can talk to one of our distributors. We have quite a few now, and we're bringing on more every day. We have our licensee program. Those are for every state and province. We want to have a distributor, and we want to have a licensed manufacturer installer. That is what our licensee is, and that's our preferred installer in every region. We're growing that map out now that our product line's growing out. We're growing out the map of people that are able to provide these things to you guys. So there will be somebody in your area that can do this system for you. You can contact us to become the person to do this system in your area. Or you can go to a distributor, buy it, try it on your own project. whatever the prerogative, we got you covered. We hope to bring these solutions to you guys really soon. We hope that anybody seeing this video has learned something, has learned something about the products and the benefits. And if anything, the dog kept you entertained. So I will sign off now. I'll end this. I'll make this recording available to everybody out there. I will send a link to everybody, and it will be on YouTube. We will make sure to put a short clip on social media that'll link to that same video. So anybody can find this training session. Anybody can refer back to it in the future when you're on site, you're wanting to install, and you're maybe not 100% on how these things work. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you. We value you, and we're grateful for you joining us. I'm grateful for all those watching. So tune in next time. Cheers.